Season 2, Episode 7, the preview of the Old Trafford. Theatre of Nightmares or Theatre of Dreams. Introductions first, we have Richard from Arsenal TV. Good afternoon, Richard.
How you doing? Thank you for having me on. Hello to everybody else.
And check out Richard's YouTube channel. He's trying to get to 1,000 subs. Arsenal TV on YouTube. We have Andrew from Dial Square. Andrew's also a YouTuber. So check out Andrew. Good afternoon, Andrew.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, check out From Dial Square on YouTube.
I think everyone that watches this channel knows me old mate down there, Mahir, co-host. Good afternoon, Mahir. We'll get into things in a bit. But I wanted to give a special introduction. We have a newbie, Usman. Welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle.
Hey, Raymond. Thanks for having me on here. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Tell me a little bit about you and your lifetime, your life story, your Arsenal life story. When did you start supporting Arsenal?
I supported Arsenal ever since I was 6 years old. So this was back in 2005, just a year after the Invincibles happened.
You missed the good times.
Yeah, it's by a year, but at least I still got to see Arsenal beat Manchester United in the FA Cup final. So that's a plus.
Yes. I'm going to give you the first question, Usman. How are you feeling about tomorrow? The big game, Manchester United, Old Trafford.
Wow, this game, it's more pressure on us, if you know what I mean, because we already know Manchester United don't have their main players available for the upcoming match. But we always know whenever we're playing against them, that's when they decide to turn up. And the main concern is we're not worried about them. We're more worried about ourselves because we are famous to do an Arsenal in games that matter.
Yeah, no doubt. Is that down to the actual players itself, Usman, or the coach?
It's down to everyone when it comes to big games. Not only does the coach have to put his best lineup, the players have to play their best performance of their season if they want to get a result out of big matches.
So you're a little bit cautiously worried about tomorrow?
Yeah, probably because of past experience. The thing is, when I look at this match, I think it comes down to the team selection in this game and the defense. Because we have Kieran Tierney, who just made his debut against Nottingham Forest, Hector Bellerin's returned, Rob Holding's returned. But I'm just thinking it's too early, too soon to just throw them into the starting 11. It'll be more of a case of probably after like 70, 75 minutes, then we can like sub them on to probably close the game. So that's my main concern.
Richard, what's your feelings for tomorrow?
I'm actually quite confident in going into this game, obviously because we've got a better run of form at the moment. With 3 wins, apart from Man United, have lost to West Ham last time out, which is a massive shock, really. But apart from that, I'm quite confident in going into this game. But, you know, as Usman said, that Man United can turn up to big games when they're feeling very low on confidence. So, yeah, I'm actually quite confident in going into it.
All right, I'll let Pizzagate continue with Gun the News, and I'll go to Andrew next.
I wish I could be confident. I hate feeling like this about Arsenal. Going back to when you started supporting the club, Usman, I didn't even know who we were playing that weekend because I was so confident we were going to beat anyone, home or away. And now, you can't feel confident because of the way that we've just turned out lately against Watford and Aston Villa, the first half especially. So we've got a far better team than Man United. They're a complete disarray. They've got no forward line to speak of. They should have Jesse Lingard up front. I mean, he's not had an assist or a goal in the whole of 2019. It's unlikely that Martial's going to play. I think Rashford's out. So, I mean, Pogba's out. I mean, everything is pointing in the direction of us winning, but we know what could happen. I just desperately hope we get the Nottingham Forest Arsenal and not the Watford Arsenal turn up tomorrow, because if we do, then we could win again 5-0, and that'd be amazing. But we could also lose really timidly. So I just hope that he plays the players that are on form and not the players that he always defaults to. That's really important, that he just doesn't stick with Socrates, Luiz at the back, stick with Xhaka, and maybe stick with the diamond formation. Because if that's the case, then we could be in for a long afternoon, unfortunately.
Mahir, how are you feeling tomorrow?
I am feeling quietly confident. Why I say so is, like Andrew, Richard, Usman have just said, we don't know what Arsenal might show up. Is it our Arsenal, the one that fights with blood, sweat, and tears for everything for the badge? Or is it the complacent Arsenal? Oh, we're 1-0 ahead. Let's just walk around playing a game in the park. We go 1-1. They go 2-1 ahead. They go 3-1 ahead. And basically, we're fighting an uphill battle. But, like Andrew said, in the past few seasons, right, guys? Basically, we have faced them twice at their weakest. And I think it was one of Rashford's first games. And guess what? He managed to turn up. It was one of his first games for Manchester, or Banter FC as I call them. And he turned up and moonwalked in the Emirates. I mean, guys, like, if that isn't a sign of disrespect, and if we don't do the job tomorrow, Emery is going to be under a hell of a lot of pressure.
Well, speak about Emery being under pressure, but Usman, isn't Ole under more pressure? And I titled this show with two teams at a crossroad. Like, they literally can go different directions after this game. What do you think?
If you look at the beginning of the first season, you could have given a pass for Unai Emery because he came into the job only had like 50 million to work with, and he didn't have the players that he wanted to make his system work. But now, second season in, the money came in, he got the players that he needed to make his system work, and so far, it's not really how we all expected it to be. So there's been pressure since the beginning of this season, but I think right now a lot more pressure is in this match than other people would think it is.
Did he get all of the players, Usman, this season that he needed? I mean, I don't think we have a full, strong team that's in strength and depth yet. Especially
To
at the
be
back.
honest, in my opinion, we don't have all the players that we need. But if you look at the team, like how we can shape it up, it can work. I'm just concerned that, it's not really a big one we could have gotten, but I was thinking like, how comes we didn't have him? We gone for Hakim Ziyech from Ajax. He would have been like a perfect replacement for Mesut Ozil. He has the work rate. He could perfectly fit in the number 10 role and then gotten Ozil off the books. But then again, 350 bags a week is not easy to get him out of the club. So I was thinking he's probably the main one, and maybe a left winger or a backup right back, because we have the case with Hector Bellerin. Maitland-Niles is not a right back, as he said in his interview. So I wonder if he's going to put like Callum Chambers or Shkodran Mustafi there. But there.
Richard? Who's under most pressure, Ole or Unai?
I don't know. It's more or less, it's a bit of both. But in all honesty, I think it's more aiming towards Ole Gunnar Solskjaer than it is Emery in this game.
Yeah.
because I know that the fans of Man United are kind of bit of both. Some are saying that they want him out. Some are saying, we'll back him until the end of the season. But it's the games that he's lost and the way they've lost the games. And I think it's going to be more or less, if Arsenal gets the win against Man United, then I reckon it'll just be an extra nail in the coffin for Ollie, and I reckon he could be up by this week.
Yeah, Richard, if you think that we have problems, Manchester United have got real problems.
Yeah,
They could end up outside the top 6 easily this season.
I mean, even Man United fans are saying that they're not even confident in going into this game whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I think that the Arsenal, it looks as if it's going to be more in our favour. But if you look at Man United, they had a better attack but a rubbish defence. It's now completely the other way. They got a better defence but rubbish in going forward. So I think that the only player that is good for Man United in midfield is Paul Pogba, and he could be out for this game. So that's going to be a massive loss to them.
Thanks, Richard. Yeah, Andrew, if you did a combined team like a lot of people are doing, you'd have a pretty decent team that could challenge the top 2. You got decent players at the back for Manchester United and very good players for Arsenal going forward.
Yeah, I mean, they've got no. The problem for them is their central strikers are poor. I mean, even when Rashford's fit, he's never hit double figures. There's always the debate whether he's a wide player or whether he's a centre forward. He's not benefited from his being sort of pushed out wide, and so then swapped back into the centre. He's neither one nor the other. He's still a very young player, and he's done that all of his career. So he's never really mastered any one position. So he's really suffered because of that, being more of a utility forward. Their midfield, apart from Pogba, but I mean, he's got all the talent in the world for all to see. But he's just asked them to, if he's going to stay there, he wants 600 grand a week. I mean, what kind of attitude is that, really? It's ridiculous. So he's neither use nor ornament, really.
Those numbers don't even sound truthful to me, but it was 350, 400 even.
That was on the BBC Sport website, so it's fairly, it should be fairly believable from what he's been asked. And we think we've got trouble with Mesut Ozil. I mean, I'm not Mesut Ozil's biggest fan the way he has been performing lately, but it's just baffling, really, what's going on between him and Unai Emery, because he's a player that we could really, really use at the moment to link the midfield and the forward. He has had some good performances. Pre-season, he's had good performances. He had a really good performance against Forest and then was taken off. You could see how disappointed he was, and I don't blame him for that, because he made 6 chances that game.
And engineered the second goal as well, Andrew.
Absolutely. And this a public humiliation, really, not taking him to Germany when he only had 70 minutes of football a whole season, and then the excuse given was that he needs rest, and then he didn't play him in the next game. It's just baffling, and we really could use him at the moment. I don't understand what's going on there. But yeah, defence-wise, Man United have strengthened. I mean, we definitely shouldn't really be focusing attacking their right, where Wan-Bissaka on the right side of their defence, because he is very strong defensively. I think we need to be really sort of coming in field against Man United and really exploiting them directly, because I for what everyone has been saying about he's gone completely out my head for some reason. The new centre back they've got from Leicester, what's it? Slabhead.
Harry Maguire.
Maguire. Sorry, I don't know where that went then for a second. But I don't really.
Somebody says Slabhead, yeah.
Yeah, let's just stick with Slabhead. But I don't really get the rave reviews about him. I think he's very vulnerable with pace. If pace is running at him, as with any defender, to be fair to him, but he seems to panic a little bit when he's being run at. And I think we've got the players to really exploit the weakness there. pointless, crossing into the box because his slab head gets everything out of the way. So we need to attack them on the floor very much. So, but overall, I don't think we've got anything to fear against Man United at the moment. They're a very, very poor shadow of what they used to be, and the team. I mean, obviously, you saw them against Rochdale. They had a fairly strong team out against Rochdale and only beat them on penalties. I don't understand why any Arsenal fan should be worried about going into this game. But as I said earlier, we can't help it, unfortunately, with the way that we've been lately. So that's a real shame. But we really, really should have no issues going up there and winning tomorrow. Really shouldn't. I'm confident. And then on the other hand, I'm not.
Stretching back to end of last season, in the last 11 games, United have won two games, drawn 4 and lost 5. We have won 4 games, drawn 3 and lost 4. Part of that stretching back to the last season, like I said. Let's you touched on Wan-Bissaka. Mahir, who would you like to go up against Wan-Bissaka on the left-hand side? Because that is a positional challenge or a player challenge for Unai Emery's selection. I personally would pick Martinelli, but let me know what you think.
Oh, yes. 2 options there. We've got either Bukayo Saka, who's a young talent, as we do know, or Martinelli. And Martinelli is actually my shout on the left-hand side going up against Wan-Bissaka because he's shown a whole lot of energy on the pitch, whereas if we had like a Mkhitaryan there, he basically just was. So yeah, my shot is Martinelli, and a young backline of, hopefully Rob Holding, at least Kieran Tierney with his beautiful crossing and being able to do defensive duties as well as attacking duties, not somebody like a Listenak. And not Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Please, Emery. Please don't put pressure on yourself.
I think Chambers has played himself into contention there. Usman, who would you play on the left-hand side? If it's just a choice between Saka or Martinelli, or do you have someone else in mind?
Definitely for this match, I'll play Gabriel Martinelli. Simple reason being, Wan-Bissaka is like a very physical defender who has a bit of trickery in him. So how about you put him up against someone that has just as much trickery, or if not more trickery, than he does with Martinelli. Now, as well as good, the thing is, Martinelli hasn't even played a big game yet. So if we put him in, it might be a bit of a concern. It might get into him too quickly. And I hope it doesn't really fall down on him. But here's a funny thing. If Kieran Tierney was fit for this game and he would have played left back, we could have put Kolasinac on the left wing to challenge Wan-Bissaka. If you know what I mean.
And you would definitely get low crosses there with his trademark cutbacks. I actually feel Tierney's good to go. Myself. Rich?
Look, I really hope so, right? We need a proper left back, someone who can cross in and obviously provide more service to the midfield, our attackers,
Richard, what's your thinking for that left attacking slot?
I'm thinking more of Saka to put in there because of his pace, and I think he'll be able to cut inside as well if he needs to. So I would probably go with Saka, but Usman actually gave a good shout for Kolasinac in playing in that left role, because I think that he's quite bulky, he's quite physical, and I think that would be ideal because he's not good defensively, but he's good going towards attack. So I think that would be a good shout to have.
Physically speaking, he would match up well with Wan-Bissaka. So good shout, Usman. Andrew,
thank you.
Andrew.
Yeah, I would definitely put Saka in for the first 60 minutes, and then I would put Martinelli on for the last 20 or 30 minutes, personally. when the team are tiring. And regards. Oh God, I don't know. With Kolasinac, I just think we should pick our best players, and he's not one of our best players. He's not got the end result in regards to his crossing. I don't think he can.
No.
I'd love to know the stats at how many times he beats the first man with his cross. He just always hits the first man generally, and so I think Saka would be a much better option linking up with Tierney, because Saka's played his way into the team and he's been given the number 7 shirt now, and that says a lot. You know, that's really I'm really pleased for him. And everyone who follows me on Twitter knows exactly how I feel about Martinelli. I absolutely love.
We know you love him.
We absolutely need to start playing him, but he's not. I'm not daft enough to know that he should start every single game ahead of others at the moment. But he should definitely play all the cup games, including the Europa League. And I think we should use him as a real good impact sub in the Premier League for now. Give him 20 or 30 minutes. Like I said, when the opposition's tiring, he could literally rip them to shreds. But Andrew, I think Saka's made his way into the team. I think he needs to continue at the moment. He's done nothing wrong at all.
Do you think the game's too big for him, Andrew? You obviously don't think that.
No, I don't think it's too big for him. I think he would do all right. I'm not. I've got a load of confidence in the guy because of his confidence. He just got no respect for the opposition. He just, whoever he's up against, he'll just do his business. But I just think it's unfair in some ways just to elevate his Saka and then just leave him out when he's done nothing wrong. I think he's been a very good performer as well, and I think he's just slightly ahead of him at the moment. And we should stick with him and just ease Martinelli into the team and give him all the cup games for now up front, because I think he should have. He's not the sort of player that should be stuck out wide either, Martinelli. I think he's very much a player that just needs the freedom at the front of the pitch to let him do what he wants, let him express himself. He's a really good centre forward as well as drifting out wide. And if you just give him that license to roam and let him do what he wants technically, and just make sure that the team is strong around him, but let him do what he wants and express himself. I think that's how really you should handle Martinelli. That's the way they're taught in Brazil. Really, they really are taught that way in Brazil, to be able to be playing right across the front of the pitch and roam free. So he's definitely not the sort of person you should just say, right, stay out wide. Definitely, that really wouldn't utilise his abilities, I don't think. So I don't think the Saka's done anything wrong to lose his place as well. To answer your question. Yeah,
I'm going to throw this out to the panel. Whoever wants to answer this first. Does anyone think that Pepe's goal last weekend is going to help them to kick on, or was it just a penalty? It's not really helped them.
Personally, I think that it will. I think he's been showing more and more signs lately that he's getting more comfortable. I just wish it was a goal from open play. That's what he really needs. But it shows that he's got a lot of respect from his teammates. Aubameyang was incredible doing that when he's someone that is chasing the golden boot at the end of the season. He did that last season for Lacazette, as we all know, and he lost the golden boot. Well, winning it outright. Technically, if he'd have taken that himself, he would have won the golden boot outright last season. But it just shows the type of man he is, really, Aubameyang. But I do think it will give him some confidence, and I've got nothing but a lot of hope for Pepe. He will come good. I know that I'm not worried that he might not come good, put it that way. I know that he will. It's just a matter of when, really. He needs to go from open play, and that will really help him.
Yeah.
So shout out to everybody in the comments. Thanks for being here.
Ray, you know what? I completely agree with Andrew, what he just said. And I've seen everything that I need to see for Pepe. You know, he's got the trickery. He's got the skills. You know, he likes to try and beat players one-on-one. But the only thing is with him, he needs to cut inside more and to try and take shots with his left foot, because that's where he's most powerful, is with his left foot. And I think that if you looked at when he took that penalty against Aston Villa, I think that did you see the way he was after he scored that? He was completely different. And I think that he's caused problems every time he's played, especially against Virgil van Dijk and Robertson. When we played against Liverpool, he literally had Robertson spun left, right, and centre. And Robertson, for me, is one of the best left backs in the league. And then you look at Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk had to take 5 yards back because he was scared of his pace. Everyone is scared of him, and I think that's what Man United are more scared of. They're more scared of our front than they are our defence. So
that's why we're talking about him now. So
I reckon that I know Unai Emery has said to Pepe that he does need to adapt a bit quicker, but give him time. You think of Lacazette when he first came into the league, it took him time. It took him time to adapt, but that's all down to Arsene Wenger. That's his blame because he wasn't playing him enough. But I think with Unai Emery playing Pepe quite often and playing the Pepe and Ubba as the two main strikers, if it comes to it, then I think that he will eventually become good for us.
And he's going to be up against Luke Shaw, if I'm not mistaken, right, folks? I'm not a Manchester United fan. I'm going to admit that right now.
He will be, yeah. He will be.
Mahir, up against Luke Shaw, do you see Pepe getting some joy?
Oh, look, I hope he can get a goal and an assist for himself, just to, like the guys have all said, boost up his confidence. And I think he'll kick on. I mean, just give him a little bit of time. A lot of people are saying he's not good enough, he's overrated right now. Daniel James has better steps. Please, Banter FC, anybody who supports United, Banter FC must just shut up and sit down and calm themselves because, yes, we are in the same boat, but even till now, I'm not afraid of tomorrow's result. Quite clearly, if you ask me now what the prediction was, I can give it to you. But then at the same time, I'm very cautious at saying what I do say because we don't know. And Richard, Andrew, even Usman, we don't know what Arsenal is going to show up. Which Arsenal of ours is going to show up tomorrow? Is Unai going to use his head and possibly use the backline that he sees is working, which doesn't include the old heads? Or is he going to do the stupid thing and put Ainsley Maitland-Niles at right back and put Socrates and Luis together, even though one of them are bound to make an error that's going to lead to us conceding a goal? And he's going to leave out Torreira and he's going to put Xhaka and all these really stupid things that make absolutely no sense. Even the substitutions, guys. I mean, it depends. But I'm confident that we will get 3 points tomorrow.
Usman, where do you stand in Unai Emery? And do you think he's going to be proactive or cautious tomorrow?
You stand on his throat.
I'm just hoping Unai Emery does the right thing. Honestly, I'm just hoping he does the right team selection because we can all point out this player shouldn't play, that player shouldn't play, this player should play, and this player should be put in this position. We can all see it. But I think there's like some sort of wall between the fans and Unai Emery that he believes this is great, while in reality, it's going to kill us all.
What is he drinking? What is Unai Emery drinking? Because I want some of that.
Oh.
Oh, you don't? Not if you want to get on in life.
Andrew, let's go to the captains. Andrew, were you in favor of having the team vote on the captains?
Yeah, I totally was. I think it's the ideal thing to do because I'm not just talking about Emery here, but a squad is generally going to outlast a manager in this day and age. So I think that the players and the squad should choose their own manager. Captain, I beg your pardon. It just makes sense.
Oh, manager too. They could do that as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. I wish we could put a vote out on Twitter. I wish Arsenal would do that and ask us what our opinions on who should be the manager and who should be the captain.
Xhaka would be our player coach then.
Oh, I don't think so. If you put it out to Arsenal Twitter, you really honestly think that would happen? I think.
Try.
Oh my God! But yeah, so I think it was the right thing. It's he obviously does something right in training, Xhaka. I mean, I've got nothing against the guy in lots of ways. I don't think. I mean, he's put his foot in his mouth a few times. The interviews he's done, that was a completely stupid thing to do. The things he does on the pitch, it's just, we all know he's not suited to the Premier League and he's not suited to our team the way that we should be playing. He's not part of the first 11. He's not one of the strongest 11 players, so he shouldn't be in the team on that basis. So the players, if it was true that they all did vote and he won that vote, then so be it. It doesn't mean, though, that he's going to have to play every week, like some people are worried about. When you look at the previous captains we've had, they're either not here or they haven't been picked either. And Mesut Ozil is a captain, and he hasn't played hardly any football at all. So fingers crossed it won't be the case that he'll be playing every week just because he's captain.
If I was Emery, I'd be having another recount until we got a different captain. That's just me.
Well, yeah, we should just get Boris Johnson to sort it out, and he'll probably drag it out for another 3 or 4 years.
Oh, that's a whole other show. Let's keep it.
Yeah, exactly.
Richard, were you in favour of the voting?
Yeah, I was by the players. Yeah, I was happy because they're the ones that know what goes on inside the club, and they seem to know what Xhaka is like in training. But to be in all honesty, I don't actually rate Xhaka as captain. He's a liability, in my opinion, when he's played. Now, for him to come out and say that, these players need, like, he's complained about players making mistakes, but hold on, mate, you've made mistakes yourself. So to me, that's not really captain material. He's too slow for our team. He's too slow for the Premier League. I think that he's more suited to Italian league than he is the Prem. But for me, I think my ideal captain was Lacazette, and I think that we shouldn't have 5 captains. I've been brought up with Arsenal where you have one captain and one captain only, all because that Granit Xhaka is captain. It doesn't mean, obviously, as Andrew said, it doesn't mean that he's going to play every week. You know, everyone has to fight for their place. So if Xhaka is playing poor, he should be dropped, but Emery doesn't see that. So I think the other reason why Emery chooses Xhaka, I think because he sometimes slows the pace down as well, and he's long range passing where he can switch it diagonally as well. Yeah. I think that's the reason why he plays him. But apart from that, I don't see him for us. I think that we should cut our losses and get someone else in.
Evening, Alex. We got Cannon Fodder TV in the chats as well. So, and Alex will know that he and I have gone back and forth last season over the 5 captain thing, and I kind of defended it last season in the sense that he was getting used to the team, understanding a new environment, and needing 5 captains to keep the dressing room under him. But I really think he should have been proactive this season and picked a captain and a vice captain. And I don't think that players should vote. That's just my personal opinion on that. Mahir, what do you think with that question?
5 captains never, ever do something so stupid, because your youngsters look at it and think, like, how is this even possible, you know? And somebody like Xhaka, I love what Richard brought into the conversation when he said somebody from the back line or somebody from the front line. If you're going with the front line, you could go with somebody like Lacazette. We discussed this in an episode a while back in our first season, right? Or if you want to secure a back line, somebody to tell Torreira to sit and hold tight where he needs to be and not be bombing so far up the field. Even if your coach must say, look here, I'm giving you the freedom to run and bomb forward. You're a DM, a defensive midfielder. You should stick to where you are, cover the back line, provide for the middle so the middle can provide for the front. Is exactly my point, you know? All this bombing forward and attacking too hardcore, I mean, it leaves us vulnerable to a through ball or ball over the top. And guess what, guys? You've got Xhaka there in the middle, and once there's a gap, we get exposed. We go 1-0 down. We possibly go 2-0 down. We drop our heads 3-0 down, uphill battle, game over. Basically, that's it. So Xhaka should be dropped. I don't care if he is captain. He's not suited to our team. He's been one of the best, as I like to say, panic buys of Wenger's time. He's basically a Swiss El
Panic
Nene,
player.
basically.
He plays like he's panicking as well. Usman, what's your feeling on the whole captain deal? Is it a big deal in modern football now?
Big deal.
Yeah,
It is
of
definitely a
course,
big
being
deal.
a captain.
We should have one.
Of course, it's a big deal. Because here's the thing: when you pick a captain, you don't let the players vote like who you want to be the captain. It's up to the coach and the staff on who can they rely on that very moment to become captain. Who is going to be the one that's going to get his team to come back up when they're down? Who's going to get their team from 3-0 down by halftime to winning the game by full time? You have to look at. I'm going to take Liverpool for example. When they had Steven Gerrard as captain, everybody's been like, "Oh, but he slipped and made sure that didn't win the title." But look, when he was given captain, probably around 2000 and maybe 2004 when he was given captaincy, he not only was he like a good player at the time because he was a really good leader. He was given captaincy ahead of Robbie Fowler, and we all know how good of a player Robbie Fowler was in his day.
Mm-hmm.
And to have someone of his ability to give commands on the field, tell his players what they're doing wrong and fix it, to get his team to get back up when they're down. Those are the kind of captains that you need. And Granit Xhaka being a captain is like asking to be shot with a bullet.
Asking for what?
And if you want, it's like asking to be shot with a bullet to the head.
Yeah, showing the door as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and to add,
Mhm.
if I was going to pick my own captain, it would have been Lacazette, Mesut Ozil, or Socrates, to be honest, because Socrates is just a Greek god. Mesut Ozil, okay, he has done okay when he was the captain, and Lacazette, it goes back to when he was in Lyon, when he was given the captain's armband. He does a way better performance as captain than Xhaka does with his international team. But that's mine.
Right, so we have a real debate. The panel is kind of split on this issue. Andrew, I think you might want to jump in.
Socrates needs to be flushed down the toilet. He shouldn't be anywhere near captaincy. He's not good enough for the team, in my opinion. But that's only my opinion. But I just want to be honest. I think the captaincy issue, really, in this day and age, it's just been blown all out of proportion. Really, it's not as important as it was back in the day as the early days of Patrick Vieira or Tony Adams or whatever. The captain, I think it's important for the captain to have been, in this day and age, to be chosen by the players because they don't do a lot on the pitch anymore, a captain, really. And I wish they did, put it that way. I'm just saying how things are nowadays. I wish they did, but they don't. What the captain does this day and age is the captain is for the players, really, will have a person that they trust to go and have a chat to the manager if they're not happy about some things or whatever. And he will be the person to go and do that and knock on the manager's door. That's more what the captain does in this day and age than what Adams used to do back in the day. And regards having 5 captains, it is stupid. However, the theory behind it is that every match that they play, whether it be a cup or a league game, one of those 5 should technically be on the pitch at that point. And it clears any confusion for when the player goes off and they know who to hand the captain's armband to when they go off the pitch. And that's all it is. So throughout the whole of the season, at least one of those 5 should be involved in that match. So that's the reason behind it, whether you agree with it or not. But I don't think the role of a captain is very particularly as revered as much as it was when we were kids, to be honest.
And Richard, having 5 captains, it means you can ultimately drop a captain or not play him and not have
Yeah.
controversy.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Andrew said. That that is the ideal of having 5 captains. So if you've got Granit Xhaka that's playing the majority of the Premier League games, then you play Özil for the Europa League game as he's one of the captains. You give him the armband. But to be honest, I don't think the only people that he's chosen who I see as captain material is probably only 3, but probably 2 at the least, which is Abba and Laka. I think those 2 are the ones that deserves the captain's armband. Lacazette in particular, because his work rate is phenomenal for us. And there is one other player that I would have gave the captain's armband to, and that is a fully fit Rob Holding. Because I think that if you have Lacazette as a main captain, then he would be the vice captain. So if there's any problems at the back, Rob Holding would give the commands at the back to keep it very solid, and then Lacazette will give the commands from midfield. So I think that would have been the best option to go with. But he's gone with the 5 captains, which I think is stupid.
Andrew, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just wanted to say one very quick thing. I was going to say what Richard just said. I agree with my choice, which I haven't really said. If I was to choose the captain, I would definitely have Rob Holding as captain, and the vice captain, I would have had Kieran Tierney every day of the week, and that was it. I'll just have those 2 because they are the absolute. I mean, it doesn't matter to me that he's just joined the club. Kieran Tierney is completely captain material straight down the line, and he's been captain of Scotland and of Celtic since the Celtic. I think he became captain at 18. Same as Tony Adams, because he's got the right attitude and he leads on the pitch. But I would have had Rob Holding and him as vice captain, but neither of them are either in the top 5. So what do I know?
Before we went on, I was talking with Richard before we went on, and I noted to Richard that Unai Emery had mentioned that he would name an English player as one of the captains. That clearly has not happened, Andrew.
He has, David. He has Bellerin. Cockney Bellerin.
He does have the accent, yeah. But I always
he's a proper Londoner, isn't he?
I think Holding is ready for that role. I think Holding could be the most inspirational captain if given the armband. Well, let's go downstairs. Usman, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree to an extent on giving Rob Holding the captaincy. It's just that he's been at the club long. I'm not sure if he has like the mentality of being a captain. And also, I like to point out, when it comes to like being a captain, you're not just a captain because you're given the armband. You're given the captaincy because you have the mentality of being a captain. You have the guts of telling your players what to do, not to drop your heads, remain focused in the game, and giving it to someone that's always up and down when being captain is not really a great thing. So, you see, giving Rob Holding captaincy makes sense. Hector Bellerin would have been a good shot as well.
Yeah. Usman, I'm going to come back there. I'm not looking to give you a hard time on your first podcast with us, but respect everybody's opinion. And I agree with you with Rob Holding, and I think you're possibly getting there as well. But Mertesacker, that 2017 FA Cup final, I saw Rob Holding going head-to-head with Diego Costa and calling him a nutcase, basically. So I think that's a good shout-out for a captaincy, Rob Holding. And I agree with you with Bellerin as well.
Yeah. Is a good choice because you want. Okay, I'm just going to repeat myself because I already know what I just said.
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay. You see, some people forget what it means to be captain. Some people just think once you being the captain of a team, you just don't go around and be like, "Yeah, I'm the captain. See, look at my armband over here. Let me flex on all of you." People just forget what it means to be captain. You have to look at captains like Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira, John Terry, Steven Gerrard. These are kind of players that would have carried the team on their back and made sure the team got a result or had a good performance. Nowadays, they give it to someone like Mauro Icardi, captain of Inter Milan. I found that as a joke when he was given the captaincy. And when he got stripped off of it, I was like, good riddance. Should have done it a long time ago.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Mahir, a captain has to be a captain on the field as well as off the field.
He has to be able to handle any and every sort of conflict, whether it's on the field or whether it's off the field, personal issues and fighting between teammates and coach and players. And, you should be able to lead by example, whether he's there or not. To know that, say, for instance, we're in trouble in a game and he gives the players certain instructions, like the midfield, for example, to just sit and cover the defense, do nothing else, don't attack, just do your job, because that way people know where they're supposed to be at what times, and there's more calmness around the situation when it happens. And like, for example, like not dropping our heads when we're 1-0 down or 2-0 down, to say, listen here guys, we can still pull this back. Like, I believe in you guys, believe in yourselves, and sometimes it gives them that little bit of boost, that little bit of oomph to go on and win the game, just like that.
Adams was captain at 18. Adams was captain at 18, not 21. Well, he started at 18, so it doesn't matter how old you are. You just got to have that right temperament. I totally agree. And what I was saying earlier doesn't mean I agree with any of that. I do agree with exactly what Usman said. I just wish that we had, and I think the closest we've got to a new Adams is Rob Holding. The time will tell as it goes along, but I do genuinely think he's got a lot of the traits. In fact, at his age now, when Adams was Rob Holding's age, Rob Holding's far better than Adams. Adams used to make a lot of rickets, but look what he turned out to be. But I think he's the closest we've got. But I do really wish that we had someone like that on the pitch. But time will tell whether like I said, whether a Holding would turn into that person. But footballers aren't the same as they used to be back in those days, in the 80s and 90s. Footballers are too pampered now, and they don't clean boots for their apprenticeship anymore. They don't really have the same feeling of pulling on that shirt and making it to the first team, because it gets handed to them too easily nowadays, and they've got too much money in their pockets. And when they get that first big pay packet, it's like it's like an entitlement rather than something that they've worked really hard for. We haven't quite got the same people on the pitch with the personalities anymore, unfortunately. So it's a massive shame. I do miss that, unfortunately, from modern day football.
Yeah. Usman, who would your central defenders be tomorrow?
Well, if it was possible, I'd bring Rob Holding back into the mix as soon as possible. And then you're just questioning yourself, who would you rather have, Socrates or David Luiz?
Which clown?
That is the main question.
Chambers.
Would you have someone that knows how to role play as a Greek god, or have someone whose nickname is Sideshow Bob?
I personally think Sideshow Bob should pair up a Holding and Chambers at right back. Andrew?
I'd have Chambers in the centre, and I'll have Mustafi at right back, to be honest, until Bellerin's back.
And
personally,
you'd go with Holding?
I'd have Holding and Chambers, yeah. However, if it was Emery, he would have Mustafi at centre and Chambers at right back, wouldn't he? He wouldn't be brave enough to have Chambers and Holding in the centre. But I think that'd be a good partnership.
Yeah, he did that recently in Europe, I believe.
He did, yeah, he did. But Richard, I think they complement each other very well.
Richard, your centre back pairing.
If if we're looking at as a fully fit squad, I think our best defence is actually Bellerin, Holding, Chambers, and Tierney. I think that's our best back line that we've got as a fully fit side. I know. Do you know what? I would give Mustafi benefit of the doubt to go right back because the past few games, I don't think he's put a foot wrong. I think he knows that he's out of Unai Emery's plans and that Unai Emery wants him gone. And I think that he's just getting on with it. And that's why I don't think you've seen a lot of mistakes from Mustafi recently because he knows that his time is going to be up at Arsenal.
Yeah.
So I think as a fully fit squad, my best defensive lot would be Bellerin, Holding, Chambers, and Tierney. That would be our best back four.
Yeah. Am I here?
Exactly the same as Richard. Enough said. Straight into the point.
All right, now we solved the forward line and we solved the defensive line. Now let's get into the midfield minefield. What's going on in midfield? I'm going to throw it out to the panel. Whoever wants to answer first, go for it.
Let me start
Happy
off
to go.
first.
Oh, no, you go, Usman. You go.
Okay.
What's happening in midfield?
The midfield.
What do you see that's working right? What do you
midfield
see that's
situation.
not working right?
This one.
Well, should start out with the formation. Instead of 4-3-3, I will go with a 4-2-3-1 formation, where we'll have a number 10. So pretty much, you might know where I'm going with this. I'm going to drop Xhaka, obviously. I'm going to drop Guendouzi. I'm going to have Lucas Torreira and Dani Ceballos just in front of the defense, with Mesut Ozil playing in the number 10. Now, I know some people will not agree with me because of Ozil, but this is a big game. You want your best performing players to be playing in a big match. So I'm going to have Ceballos, Torreira, and Ozil in the midfield three.
All right, what's going on with Xhaka? Usman. What's the
Absolutely
deal
not.
with the coach? Has he got some nudes of Unai Emery or what?
That was one thing I wanted to point out in the International Gooners video on Arsenal Fan TV, but I think that got cut off for some reason. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
You got a platform here.
You actually had the
Yeah.
pictures.
I don't know. I think it was like I remember like a couple of years ago, this was like between Arsene
Did you get a brown
Wenger
envelope?
and no. But this was like a similar case between Arsene Wenger and I think it was Olivier Giroud. That one had the other person's photograph. That's why he keep playing up front.
Yeah.
Good stuff,
I
Usman.
don't want Xhaka to sniff the bench at all. I would rather have the midfield in the bench of Guendouzi and Joe Willock. Because at least with them,
Yes.
I know we have reliable players in the bench.
Yes.
All right.
By any means. Let me just drop Xhaka straight for a few games.
Andrew, I'm going to come to you next with the same question. What's right with midfield? What's wrong with midfield? And if you want to take that question Don Juan has asked and answer it.
Yeah, I think it's right. I would have my midfield three has not changed all season. Out of what I would play, I would have Willock, Torreira, and Ceballos as my midfield three. I think that just offers everything that we need with regards to the young athleticism, the willingness to get back, willingness to get forward, and most importantly, willingness to link the three parts of the pitch. They are equally as happy as running backwards as they are running forwards. I don't think that goes for Guendouzi. He's much more confident going forward with the ball when he's actually looking up the pitch rather than looking back. But I think Willock and Torreira are comfortable doing both, and they offer a lot of pace and power and the ability to run with the ball. And obviously with Ceballos, exactly the same with regards to what I've just mentioned, but also he can really do a lot of good tricks and flicks with the ball in the front final third. I think he offers an awful lot of. I don't think he's not a number 10 as such, but I think he's much more suited as well to running from the centre of the park forward with the ball. And with Torreira and Willock, they could. But I think they'll just be more comfortable just sitting slightly deeper, but obviously breaking forward as and when, with the other one covering behind. But I think that midfield three offers pretty much everything that we're looking for with regards to linking the three areas of the pitch really competently.
Richard, midfield.
Yep. I completely agree with Andrew. That would be my front three as well, which would be Torreira, Willock, and Ceballos. Because if you play Torreira, let him do what he's good at, which is staying back and protecting that back line to cover more central. If we're looking more or less, if we're on, the back foot and the pressure's on us, then Ceballos and Willock can also drop deep so they can cover the two wings. So that it doesn't cover a lot of space. So I think, and obviously for them going forward is brilliant, because if you look at Dani Ceballos, he has good hold up play. He likes to burst forward into the attacking third. And also with Dani Ceballos, I don't think he reminds me of Santi Cazorla, the way he used to be at Arsenal, the way he used to be able to protect the ball, and then he would drop his shoulder to spin round the defender. So he provides that. Joe Willock, I think he's impressed me in every game that he's played. And the only thing the best about him is that he's homegrown. He knows what Arsenal means. So it's best to have that in the squad as well. Now, Joe Willock, he provides the energy, the pace to go forward into the attack, but he'll know when to come back to protect the wings as well. So that would definitely be my midfield as well.
Usman, any reason to fear going to Old Trafford tomorrow? Given their recent score. Yep.
My only fear of Arsenal is just doing an Arsenal as usual as they do against Manchester United, because playing against Man Utd at Old Trafford is probably the only game of the season, well, apart from the Manchester derby, is that Manchester United would be willing to turn up. Because if you think about it, playing against Man United Old Trafford in 2016, that was when we gave Marcus Rashford a career, scoring 2 against us and getting man of the match. And that was the season where we finished second, 10 points. Wait, was it 10 points? A couple of points behind Leicester. And not only that, when we played against Man United, we gave Jesse Lingard a dance floor, basically. So as long as Arsenal are focused from the first to the last minute of the match, that is the only way we can beat Manchester United convincingly. Notice how I said the word convincingly, because we can beat them, but we can still be our usual selves. And that's not the kind of Arsenal we want to see in that match. If we did win, I'll be like, yeah, we finally beat Manchester United. I mean, I would actually ramble about it for a week. But the reality of it, if we just escape with a result, then I wouldn't feel as good as beating them convincingly.
No. I'll just say one more thing. I was going to say another thing I would also add is, instead of Ceballos, I could also quite comfortably have Guendouzi in there and play Guendouzi as the more forward-thinking player. I think he's showing a lot more skills lately, being able to attack the box like he has done in the last 2 or 3 matches. He's shown a lot of ability in the more sort of forward-thinking role, rather than having him deep alongside Xhaka, as has been sort of mentioned quite a few times on Twitter and obviously by Emery, having Guendouzi as a sort of deep line midfielder. I think he's much more suited to a forward one. So I'd be quite happy with Torreira, Willock and Guendouzi as well, to be perfectly honest. But I just have to say, Usman, when you just mentioned about that Lingard, just a little bit of sick came into my mouth. That's just remembering that.
I think we all felt that way.
Sickening.
I know.
Yeah, I know. It's sickening.
Usman, I agree with your midfield formation. I think that we have the players to play, only the players to play 4-2-3-1. I don't think we have players that are suited very well for different formations. So I agree with you on that one, Usman. Richard, why is it a Norwich City or a West Ham can go to Old Trafford and give them a decent game, and Arsenal go to Old Trafford and lay down?
The reason why, because they've got the right players to do the job, and they don't have players that make mistakes like we have. They don't give too much room in midfield like we do in the space of midfield and defence. We give too much space, and the only thing is with Newcastle as well, they're very disciplined. That's the difference. We're not disciplined enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I agree.
I don't think we haven't got the players. It's just the way that we're set up, and I think that it really worried me when the comment from Emery saying that he requested Chambers to really sit back against Villa and sort of look and stay back, and Chambers basically just did what just ignored those that advice and just went forward on his own, and he got 3 assists in the end. Against against Nottingham Forest, wasn't it? He got the goal against Villa. I just think that at the moment, I hate to say it, but I just think at the moment we're winning despite the manager, not because of the manager. I think we've got the players. I'm really happy with the squad. I think we're 3 players away from being a very, very good team.
Yeah.
We just not got the right guy in charge, and that's what I'm really worried about, unfortunately. I'm not going to be sort of, going on and on and on saying I want Emery out, but I will always support the team. But I just got this feeling right from early days that it's going to go south. It's going to go wrong again, like it did at the end of last season.
7 league games into the season is not the time to talk about it. But Andrew, when you have your coach saying, whether it's a joke or not, that you're afraid to play Liverpool, you'd rather not play Liverpool, and you have your now club captain saying we were afraid against Watford, it doesn't send out the right vibes for this new Arsenal.
It's really embarrassing what some of the stuff that comes out of the club, and Xhaka should have bloody known better than to say something stupid like that, whether it was the truth or not. You don't go to the press and say that. I mean, what's that? Everyone is going to be up and down the country. Every team is going to be rubbing their hands together, thinking, "Oh, we're a bunch of pussies, aren't they?" You just don't do that. Some things you just don't say, and it was just ridiculous. Anyway, and I can't believe that Emery said that. Whether that was, the truth or not. Again, it's something you don't say to the press, that you instructed one of the players to do one thing and he ignored you and did the other, and it got better results. So why would you do that as a manager? It's just odd, I don't know. This is massive worries for me about Emery, and they won't go away, unfortunately. Nothing I've seen lately. Oh, damn, that was the other thing against the Forest in the Forest game, that he'd relinquished control of the team and allowed Ljungberg to take control of those cup games for the season. What did that tell you as well? Well, we had a sparkling performance. It was probably the best performance and one of the most enjoyable performances, albeit against the championship side. But it was a thrilling performance from our team, and probably the best one since 2 or 3 years before Wenger left, near enough. And that was because Freddie Ljungberg was in charge of the team that night. Yeah. What you don't you don't sort of say that after a 5-0 win. Why would the manager say that as well? And that puts even more pressure on him. People thinking, oh well, that performance is down to Freddie Ljungberg. We want that every week, so let's get him out and let's have Freddie Ljungberg in charge. It's just ridiculous. It's just, as an experienced manager, shouldn't be saying things like that. It rubs people up the wrong way. Like he said about Mesut Ozil being tired, so we had to rest him for the Europa League game. Everyone knows that's a lie, that he didn't need a rest. He only had 71 minutes of football under his belt. He did not need a rest that day. So why say something like that to the press? Because it's obviously not true. And it's just, it's only a small thing. However, these little small things, they just grow into bigger things because it's unnecessary. And it just creates more conversation pieces against the manager. Yeah. It's odd. I don't know why.
And it transmits to the team if the players see their coach talking this way and doing things in a certain manner. Usman, did you want to address that question?
Yeah, there's actually like 3 things I wanted to point out. 2 with Andrew and 1 with Richard. Yeah. I think when Freddie Ljungberg took charge in that match against Nottingham Forest, I think the reason it went well because Ljungberg has worked with some of the young players that are playing in that match. So they were like familiar with him playing well with the under-23s and the academy. So I think that probably his way of teaching them worked for them with back in the Premier League too, got them winning games. And another point there is reason that West Ham United and Norwich, those sort of teams, are able to go to Man United and get a result is because they will look at it and be like, oof, okay, this is probably the biggest game of the season. We know they're a far better team than us, but we want to go out there and put in some fight and not embarrass ourselves, so that even when we lose, we wouldn't be disappointed in that we got absolutely smashed. It's like, okay, we lost, but we brought it to them. We gave them our very best, and if they do win, they'll be raving about it for the whole week.
Richard,
I don't think.
Go ahead, Andrew.
I was going to say I totally get what you mean, Usman, but I think that most other teams at the moment will recognise the disarray that Man United are in and think this is our best chance of beating them. And that's really got to be the way that you've got to look at going to Old Trafford at the moment, because it's not like it used to be. Like, everyone can see that they are a bit of a car crash at the moment. Yes, it's still going to Old Trafford and it's a big name, Man United, but they are not the same Man United at the moment. So we should be going to Old Trafford, and every team should be going to Old Trafford thinking that they can get something out of it at the moment. It's just having that right sort of confident mentality and the confident sort of performance on the pitch. And I also get what you say about the Nottingham Forest match and the youngsters playing for Freddie Ljungberg last season. But you've got to be able to play. That says to me that they'll play for him, and they're not happy to perform, or they won't perform for Emery then, because they should be able to be to do that with Ljungberg sitting next to him on the bench. Surely that's another problem with mentality if that's the case.
No problem, I hear. I'm going to go to Richard next. Richard, that point, we worked hard. Arsenal worked hard for 10 years to dispel the Southern Softies tag that we had. But Unai Emery coming out saying we're afraid to play Liverpool. Emery, Xhaka is saying we were scared. That just gives teams the green light to go after us again.
Yeah, it does, and it boils down to the mentality of the players. I don't think that maybe Xhaka might have been being honest, saying that we were scared against Watford, but why should you be scared of teams like that or anyone in the Premier League? You should be more focused about yourself than focusing on other teams. You got to hit them at their weakest points. And it's true, you shouldn't be afraid of other teams. Focus on yourself and go in there and have the right mentality. The mentality for every game should be win, 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 win. That's how it's supposed to be. And I don't think that Unai Emery has that. And I think that sometimes if his plan A or plan B goes completely out the window, I don't think he knows what to do next. And I think sometimes this is where the players think, do you know what? His plans are clearly not working. Let's just do what we know what's best. And that's what I think Callum Chambers done by not listening to Unai Emery, because I think whatever Unai Emery told Callum Chambers, I think he knew it wasn't going to work. So he thought, you know what, we need a goal. Let me just do what I know best. We're struggling in defence, but we need goals. Let's just put the game to bed. And I think that's why Chambers done what he done.
Not here. Southern softies. Teams can come after us saying things like that.
I mean, it's totally disgusting, if you ask me, to have that type of mentality. I mean, we're the Arsenal, one of the biggest clubs in America, if not in Europe. I'm sorry, America, in the UK, if not in the whole entire fucking world. Mind my language, guys, but it's terrible to let people know that we're afraid. The old team, let's just take it back to the good times. Right? In the tunnel, teams are immediately afraid of getting hammered.
Yeah.
Hammered. They know we're going to lose the game when they come up against our team. But, I mean, especially for our captain, that's ridiculous to put out such a statement. I mean, if somebody knows, for example, you're a weak person, you're not a very strong-hearted person, and you don't stand up for yourself. And like Richard just said, you have to focus on yourself. You can't be depending on other teams to lose, other teams to fall off form, they run off form, because even during the run-in, last few games of the season, 1 point
Yeah.
away from making Champions League.
Yeah.
And you capitulate in that way and in that fashion, and to Chelsea in the final.
Yeah, we didn't lose it in the North London
I don't have
Derby.
any
We lost
words
it
for
in
that.
multiple places.
It's mentality. It's all up here.
Richard, I'm going to give you the last say because I know you have to leave pretty soon.
Yep.
Just summarize everything we've talked about, maybe, and what your feeling is for tomorrow, and what we should do apart from getting 3 points, obviously.
Well, team selection's got to be spot on. It has to be, and the players need to be right. They need to be fully on their game. I think Unai Emery needs to go attack and let us push Man United the other way, because they say the best form of defence is attack. So that's what I think Unai Emery has to do. But my score prediction for that Man United game tomorrow, I think I'll go with a 2-1. I don't think it'll be any more than that because I think it will be a tough game, but it looks to be it's going to be in our favour. Now, in terms of the way, if you look at our first 6 games, none of them games have been convincing in terms of our Premier League games. You look at the first game against Newcastle. Yes, we grinded out for a 1-0 win, but it wasn't really a convincing performance. Then you look at the Burnley game. We won 2-1. That still wasn't a convincing performance. Then you look at Liverpool. That was pretty much same old, same old. You look at that Liverpool game. If we took our chances in the first half with Pepe and Abba, maybe it would have been a complete different game. Then you had the North London derby against Tottenham. Really, to be honest, we should have won that. Even though that we were 2-0 down in the first half and bring it back to 2-2 was a good comeback. But we shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. So really, that first half, that first 20 minutes, that still wasn't convincing. No. And then you look at the Frankfurt game. Yes, we won that game. We did win that, but that is probably one of our toughest games in the group. And then you look at the Nottingham Forest game. People will say, yeah, it's Nottingham Forest, but we went out there, we showed you the right mentality, and then the players showed that they can get the job done. Because you look at Nottingham Forest, they ain't no mugs, they ain't no pushovers.
No, they're doing well in their division.
I know, and it wouldn't be surprised that before long they'll be coming up to the Premier League. So it wouldn't be quite surprising if they do. But the majority of the games that we've played, Unai Emery is playing players out of position. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is not a right back. He's a central midfielder. Then you've got, I would say, Aubameyang. He's been playing out on the left. For me, I don't think that's the right position for him. Aubameyang needs to be more central because if you play Aubameyang out on the left, he's very he doesn't look comfortable out there. He doesn't cut in a lot as because Aubameyang likes freedom. He likes to have that freedom where he can go in and out both sides.
Yeah.
But I just think that I'm not Emery in and I'm not Emery out at the moment.
You're going to see to the end of the season.
No, I'll give him until December.
December, okay.
I'll give him until December, because if we're still out of the top 4 places by December and we're still far behind the top 4 places, then I'm sorry, he'll have to go at the end of the season and bring in someone else. That's what I think anyway.
Are you confident Aubameyang can score tomorrow, Richard?
Well, yeah, Aubameyang does what he does best by scoring goals. But the only thing is, Ray, it feels as if we're relying on our strikers too much. That's what it feels like. It feels like we've got no goals coming from midfield. We have no goals coming from midfield, and I think we are relying on our strike. I think we are relying on our strikers too much. Aubameyang, he's a world-class striker, and I reckon he could probably get 40, 50 goals this season.
No.
Does anyone know if Rashford or Martial are they out? Does anyone know that?
Oh,
Yeah.
They're both out. Okay. Someone was going to say something. Who was that?
Yeah, so Ray, before I'm gonna have to go, but thank you, Mahir, thank you, Usman, thank you, Andrew, thank you, Ray.
All right, thanks.
Thanks,
You're
Richard.
welcome.
See you later.
You're welcome. See you later.
Take care, mate.
Andrew,
I've got to be shooting. I've got to shoot off as well soon, Ray. So I'll just give you my last thoughts. It's just ridiculous when you consider how reliant we are on Lacazette and Aubameyang, and it just shows you that it's absolutely even more ridiculous to actually push Aubameyang out wide. Aubameyang needs to be in the box. That's where he's lethal. He's elite. He's world class in the box. There's no other better finishers in the league, is my opinion, than Aubameyang. And to push him out wide, it's like playing Tony Adams in midfield. It's just completely pointless. So you need to have him where it's most effective.
But I have to go.
All right, thanks, Usman.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers, mate. See you next time. Come on again sometime.
Nakashi.
Go ahead, Andrew.
I was going to say, we should have left that on. That would have been quite interesting to see what's being said in the background. Anyway, I think you need to play players to their strengths, which is just obvious to all of us, really, apart from Unai Emery. So you need to play players where they are most effective. So that, to me, says that if we play like a 4-2-3-1, I do actually really like that formation. However, it does mean that we're not going to be playing probably Pepe, Aubameyang, and when Lacazette's back, especially, they won't be able to play where they're most effective. And considering our strength is all up front, we need to get the best out of them. So Aubameyang and Lacazette, when he's back in the team, they have to be in and around the box, because that's where they're lethal and world class. So I really genuinely think that Pepe is the one really that should be allowed to have the freedom at the front of the pitch, like the same as what I mentioned about Martinelli earlier. He needs to be able to drift and cut in from either left or right. If necessary, he could play behind those front two in the sort of the hole, if you like, not specifically a number 10 role, but he could be very creative and very constructive playing in that sort of area, and in a sort of an arch around the box, because he can cut in from either side. And because his blistering pace and the ability to turn 180 degrees and just go, it'll be ideal to be able to do that, unleash some long shots and actually put the through balls in for the front two. And I think that'll be an excellent way of getting the best out of the front three. But the only way we're going to win tomorrow is by having a very confident formation and setup. And I've been saying this since the start of the season, that we need to forget more about what the other teams are going to do to us and impose our own style on them. And if Emery could just stop all this bullshit video reviewing that he does all week, every week, and makes the players sit through it for 2 hours, and invest that time instead that you waste in doing all this video analysis on actually perfecting our own style, then we can go and impose that style on these teams rather than wasting hours and hours and hours just sitting through watching videos of them play. Concentrate on ourselves. Invest that time better by getting, because everyone knows that we haven't got a style. Emery, what is Emery's style? Everyone knows we haven't got one. So invest that time in creating our own style. So that's what I think anyway.
It's very loosely termed to be pragmatist, right?
He's if you look up pragmatist and pragmatic, it means a common sense approach, and Emery shows no common sense, so he's anything but a pragmatist. He doesn't show any common sense whatsoever.
Or protagonist, that's the word as well. Those are the two words he uses a lot, to be protagonist.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, we do need to see a style of play. So, thanks, Andrew, for coming on.
Thanks ever so much. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Really enjoyed it.
Next time, brother.
Thanks for here.
Let's get your prediction real quick for tomorrow. Score prediction.
I'm going to say.
This is for the challenge.
Because I've got to be realistic and think that of the team that Emery's going to pick, and it's going to have Xhaka in it. It's going to have Socrates in it. So I'm going to say, I'll still be brave and say a 2-1 victory to us.
Okay.
I agree with you.
If we could win 3 or 4-0 if we went for it, I reckon, but we probably won't.
Yeah, if United are as bad as they're saying they are, and we think they are, we should get away with a win. But yeah, it won't be easy, and we have not won any game this season in style, and I don't think that's going to happen tomorrow.
No, well, we're bound to give away a penalty. That's the only way they're going to score. Either a free kick where Slabhead heads it in, or we'll give away a penalty.
I'll leave one last thing for you, and I know you were talking about Mike Dean on Twitter over the week. He is part of the VAR panel for tomorrow. Mike Dean.
Well, he'll somehow work his way onto the pitch, won't he, to show himself? Probably he'll get a decision, a VAR decision. He'll run onto the pitch and put his shirt over his head and have some kind of handwritten slogan underneath it saying "Get in" or something along those lines.
Nobody wants to see that. Thanks, Andrew.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks ever so much. Speak to you soon.
Later. Thanks, brother. All right. The chaos is whittled down to just us two, the host and the co-host. And we'll wrap this up pretty quickly. Let's get through some comments quickly.
Okay.
Some of the comments we've seen, some we may not have seen. Pistol, Peter from Australia. Emery is deluded. Could you see Vieira and Adams with 1 week they're captain, then next week they're not captain? We're going to be slaughtered by this system. Emery out. And this is the problem with Unai Emery. He's not making himself. He's not taking himself out of the firing line. He's been a protagonist himself as a coach, and he likes this controversy. He believes that it's good for the evolution of a team to be a protagonist, but he's putting himself out there in the firing line. The boys talked about it. We've struggled in the league with a certain team lineup, but our best performances have been with the kids. When we played in Europe and we played in the Carabao Cup, those have been our best performances. Clean sheets and many, many goals. How do you balance those two, Mahir?
Basically, I'm not sure if the subscribers would agree with me, but we discussed it also before the podcast, and we were saying personally we'd love to see Tierney, Rob Holding, Callum Chambers. I know a lot of them might not be available, and he might pick the likes of Socrates, Louise, persisting with Xhaka, but it's detrimental. I'd love to bring up this point, Ray. I discussed with my cousin who was in the comments as well. Basically, we were saying it depends. There's a lot of pressure on both coaches. And whichever coach gets sacked first there's a possibility of the next coach coming in that could be Allegri, right? Whether or not this is a possibility, it may just be a race. We may just be stuck with Emery, and Man United may, or Banta FC might just get Allegri. So I don't know. I'm very confused about that topic. But players need to go out there with the correct mentality tomorrow, the correct lineup, the correct substitutions. Everything needs to be in order. Because if we can do all of that, clearly we should be able to beat them 3-0. If not, I'm not doubting I'm doubting a clean sheet, but the result, if the wrong Arsenal turns up, are we in for a long night tomorrow?
Yeah, and look. The players are players, so the coach puts the players on the team that he wants to fit a certain style of play. We want to be proactive, or we want to be defensive. So the coach actually puts the players out, and the players are the ones who are on the pitch doing it. Well, listen, Mahir, we're going to wrap up for now, okay? This is
Okay, bro.
our 7th episode of Arsenal Fan Circle. If you've liked this episode, you haven't signed up yet, subscribe and hit the like button. And we are out of here, hoping for a good win tomorrow, 2-1 win, and let's see what happens. We'll talk next week. Thanks
Definitely.
for the show. We're out of here.
Love to you, bro. Our co-host, where are you?